I'm pretty excited about this year. We had our first board meeting starting last Monday. We had new officers, we had some new board members, we had a good meeting, a lot of new ideas, a lot of excitement. We're in a good position to start this year. We're financially pretty solid this year after buying all that equipment last year and after buying the booth and all those other things. End of the year, we finished about $1,500 down is all we did. That's what came out of our bank by the end of the year. So we are in really good financial shape. One of the things that's good about that is that means we can spend it more on like star parties and bus trips and things like that this year. So we'll have a lot more activity during this next year. So should be an exciting, fun year. And I'm glad you're here to enjoy it with us. Let me go ahead and get started here. I'm going to try to get started here. There we go. So, oops. We are not. Sorry, the library made a lot of AV changes while we were gone and did not tell us. And we found that out a few minutes ago. Hang on. I can't forward slides. Not working. Let me try something here. Here we go. We're good. All right. All right. They definitely left us some surprises. Okay, here we go. I'm going to get this out so I can move around a little bit. It's be easier. All right. So once again, welcome to everybody. For those in the room that we see here, our sort of studio audience, if we would call it that, and as well as our people that are out on Zoom tonight, welcome to everybody. For those that are here in the room, remember that we do have a Zoom audience as well. We always have somewhere from 10 to maybe 20 or so people out on Zoom. So if you need to speak, ask a question or whatever else, particularly after our main presentation night, and we're doing the Q&A and all that, wait for a microphone, because if you ask the question in the room, the people on Zoom do not hear it. So we'll hand you a mic and you're off and running. So that's the way it will work. And as always, we hope you enjoy yourselves tonight. We hope you learned something interesting. Sounds like Kevin has a great topic for us tonight. We hope you make a new friend tonight. We hope you connect with some old friends as well. All right, we're fun. And first things first, I always do it in front of you. So if your cell phone is not on stun or on vibrate, please do so now. All right, we'll keep going here. So, any visitors tonight? First off, do you have any new folks? If you're not too embarrassed to introduce yourselves, we'd love to have you introduce yourself. We'll hand you a mic and we'll go on there. And looks like we got one in the back. So Andrew's going to hand you a mic. He's right behind you.
What am I supposed to say?
Right there. Name, how'd you find us? If you have any experience or zero experience, it's fine. And do you have a favorite thing about space?
My name is Tanea. I found you guys through looking up like astronomy clubs and stuff. And I wanted to join this because I'm majoring in astrophysics. So I decided to join something to add into my major, not my major, my resume, like being in a club. Most of it, that's my favorite thing about space, just all of it.
Okay.
The mystery of it, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves tonight? First timers or?
Hi, I'm Divya. How did I find this place? Momita, my friend, she asked me to join today. What is your astronomy experience? Probably very little. Time to time, I've been interested in this topic, but never really, read or learned a lot. So I think this will be a good experience for me. If you have one, what is your favorite thing about or in space? I think just the vastness and the amount of, unknowns in that area, that's what excites me. Yeah, I have my kids and my husband also here, so I'll pass it.
Hi, my name is Ranav and I'm her son, so I don't know what to say.
Okay.
I
That's good enough.
I honestly like biology more than astronomy, bro. Like,
All right, anybody else would like to introduce themselves tonight? If not, we'll move on. All right, excellent. Well, thank you for being here tonight. We hope you enjoyed the meeting that you're about to go through. All right, tonight's program, as you see, we're going to have our standard sort of general announcements. Then we're going to have Alice come up, talk a little bit about what's happening in public outreach for the last 2 months since we didn't have a meeting in December. And then we're going to try that game show that we were thinking about doing last November, but we just simply didn't have time to do. We ran out of time, so we'll try that. And then we'll take our short break. We usually take about a 15-minute break in the middle of the meeting just to grab some snacks, use the restroom, get something to drink, whatever, socialize a bit, and kind of get the jitters out and all that sort of stuff. So then Kevin will come up and have our main presentation night. Kevin's back by popular demand. He's been here several times now, and you can see the topic there. He's going to be talking about a little bit later on tonight. So welcome back, Kevin. All right, general announcements. For those that have been here for, 2 years now, you're going to recognize a lot of these slides, the next 3 or 4 anyway. So the first one here is, are you a joiner? So if you would like to join, please join. As I've said many, many times, we have several different revenue streams that help support the club. One of them is membership. And so when you pay your dues every year, that helps offset the cost of those bus trips we take. And we're thinking about another one this year. It helps pay for the snacks and the drinks on the back table. We have to carry insurance. There's all sorts of things we have to pay for. And so your membership dues count for about 1/3 of our budget. So it's a very, very important thing to do. And Brooks is at the back table. He's been signing people up early tonight already. And apparently he told me he's been very busy for the last couple of weeks signing folks up. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It helps support the club. We very much appreciate it. And we appreciate Brooks in the back for doing all this work for us for how many years now, Brooks, has it been? Too long. Okay. So anyway, so that's how long Brooks has been doing it. He's going to die with a spreadsheet in front of him, I think is what's going to happen. All right. Next thing up is if you'd like to know what's happening with the club this coming year, since we're starting 2026 tonight, there's a couple of different ways you can find that out. One of the things you can do is sign up for our mailing list. And I heard last December, I got an email from one of the email administrators that currently there's like 652 people on our mailing list. So we have a lot of reach on that mailing list right now. And if you'd like to sign up for it, you can go to our website. There is a subscribe button on our website. You can always find our website by just Googling eastvalleyastronomy.com, and it'll come up and you can click and join, get into our website and subscribe. We do not sell your email addresses to advertisers and all that stuff, so you will not get a bunch of spam. Really what we do, and all we do, is we send out a few announcements each month to allow you to stay up with what the club is doing at any particular time. So that's one thing you can do, is sign up for that. Another thing you can do is actually go directly to the website again, and there is a events and meetings tab out there. There's a calendar as well, and you can look at that calendar and see what upcoming events are out there. And any one of those little events you see on the calendar, you can click on it, and it'll bring up a panel showing you more detail about what's happening on that particular event. In addition to that, we have a newsletter. So if you've signed up for the mailing list, you will automatically get our newsletter each month. Once again, it has information about what we're doing and when we're doing it and all that. And those newsletters are also available if you go directly to the website. There's a newsletters page, and it not only has the current that month or this month's newsletter, it actually has a whole archive going back years. So you can see what sort of the whole history of the club and what's been going on there as well. In addition to that, we have a Facebook page you can join. I think we have a little over 1,200 people on the Facebook page right now. The nice thing about the Facebook page is it's actually two-way communication. So what will happen is that with the mailing list, there's only a few people that can actually post to that just to keep the spam level down. But with the Facebook page, you can post out there as well. It's just normal Facebook. And so you can say, hey, is anybody going out to, Picket Post observing site tonight? I'd like to join up with somebody. Or I've got a telescope I'm selling. Or, hey, I just bought a new telescope. Here's a picture of it. I'm so excited and sorry for the clouds that's going to cause tonight. Because we all know that when you buy a new telescope, it's cloudy that night. So anyway, so that Facebook is a great way to sort of stay connected with everybody else in the club. We also offer telescopes for rent and for sale. And so we have a rental pool of telescopes of various types, and you can rent them at a very, very, very inexpensive rate for a week, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And you can try out various telescopes, see if you like them or not, before you actually spend the big bucks to go out and buy one. So it's a nice thing to do. We also, where is Tom Jacobs? I saw you in there. That's the hand over there. That Tom Jacobs is always behind the scenes doing his thing, and he's always taking in telescope donations. He checks those telescopes out, see what's working, what's not, is it resellable or not, and then he tries to resell that. And Tom is important to the club. Even though he's behind the scenes, he's not up here where you see the face like you see my face every month. He's actually an important revenue stream for the club. He accounts for almost a third of our revenue as well by reselling donated telescopes. So Tom is a great guy, does good things for the club. So I appreciate Tom's presence all the time. We also have some online virtual training. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about astronomy topics, you can go back out to our website as well, go to the Virtual Beginners Lab, and there's all sorts of topics you can click on. It'll tell you a little bit about different topics within astronomy. In addition to that, we also have live training as well. James, hold up your hand over there. A lot of you know James because a lot of you are in the club because of James. He, several times during the year, will run various telescope classes. He has a beginning telescope class. He has an astrophotography for, I think it's planetary stuff he runs and so forth. And so at various points during the year, he will start a class up. And whenever those classes are coming up, he lets me know. We always start announcing it in the club, and that way we can get some people signed up for it. The classes he teaches are done via Zoom, so all the lectures are done via Zoom, so you can do it from your house. And then the actual labs are hands-on with telescopes. And even if you don't have a telescope, we actually have some telescopes you can borrow and actually practice with hands-on telescoping as well. So James is a great asset for the club as well. All right, grab bag full of announcements. So here's just a few odds and ends is what this is going to be. So first of all, how many of you have met somebody here in one meeting, and then you recognize their face in the next meeting, and you want to go up and say hi, but then you have to do that, I don't remember your name. Anybody ever done that? You don't remember the name? Yes, you see the hands going up. So last year, to sort of encourage everybody to buy a badge, and they're very inexpensive, and wear the badge, we did 3 meetings in a row where we raffled off prizes. If you show up with a badge, you get a raffle ticket, and during the meeting, we would call the raffle numbers, and you'd win. I think we did $25 gift cards last year for winners. Well, in our board meeting on Monday, the board suggested we do that again this year to try to encourage badge ownership and wearing the badge, remembering to wear it. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it randomly throughout the year. So they've designated 4 meetings. So we'll pick 4 random meetings throughout the year. And if you walk in with a badge and it happens to be the night we're doing it, we'll give you a raffle ticket, and we'll have 4 winners each night. So it's just encourage wearing badge with your name on it. In fact, I was scared to death tonight I was going to show up without mine. So anyway, and that would have not been a good thing. Tell you to wear your badge and I don't forget wear mine. Anyway, so that's going to happen throughout the year. So just be prepared for that. Wear your badge. Try to remember to wear your badge. The other thing is starting next month, I'm going to have a sign-up sheet for EVAC merch. So we have just a handful of shirts left. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to our vendor that provides our EVAC shirts and hoodies and all that. I'll get a selection of styles, fabrics, colors, whatever else, and I'll create a sign-up sheet. I'll have that here for the next 2 meetings. You can sign up. And after we've done 2 meetings of signups, then I'll go ahead and I'll purchase all the merch. And then whatever you signed up for, then on the 3rd meeting, you can go ahead and purchase that. Bring in the cash or whatever, or PayPal or whatever, how we do it. And you can actually get a shirt, a hoodie, or whatever else with some EVAC logos on it. So that's going to be happening here over the next few meetings as well. The next thing we're going to do is we're also going to try to do another bus trip, another big group bus trip. So for those that don't remember or don't know, this last year, we rented a large, really nice bus actually. And we took, as a 55-person bus, and we went down to the University of Arizona in Phoenix, and we toured a lot of some of their astro labs. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry, Eric. Wrong university. So anyway, so U of A, we went to U of A, and anyway, it was fun. We toured the Mirror Lab where they fabricate the big labs. We went to their planetarium. We had a fabulous lunch on campus. We did several things. It was a lot of fun. So this year, where is Andrew? He's in the back wall there. Andrew has graciously offered to lead that this year. So I won't be doing it this year. Andrew's taken that off my plate. Thank you, Andrew. Much appreciated. And he's already up and running. We met Tuesday for lunch, and we talked it over, and he's already got the ball running. So one of the things we're thinking about doing here is going to Kitt Peak this year. And so we'll head back down to the Tucson area. It'll be a daytime event, probably on a Saturday, just like we did before. We discussed Flagstaff. It would be fun, but Flagstaff's more, you got to see the sky sort of thing. And we hate to spend, a few $1,000s to make this trip happen. And we get there and it's a cloudy night. So that's kind of the worry there. So one of the things Andrew's already checked out is this. So down to Kitt Peak weekend tours, you can see there the 4-meter Mayall telescope. We can tour the McGrath-Pierce Solar Telescope. We can spend some time at the Science Center, which also has a gift shop, by the way. And in the middle of all that, apparently just down the road, Kitt Peak has like a picnic grounds area. It's covered, so we have pavilions that we can sit in the shade. It's mid-April is the time frame, so it should be still cool. And we'll have a sort of a catered sort of picnic lunch out there is what we'll do. And there are restrooms there as well. So if you need to use restroom, you have shade, you got chairs, what more could you want? And you got food. And it's just a great way to not only learn something interesting, do something fun, but really meet people as well is one of the big important things here. It's hard to meet people in the meetings here because I'm up here talking, or a member's up here doing a presentation, or Kevin, or whatever the main speaker is. They're talking, you're all just sort of sitting there silent. So these bus trips or star parties or whatever else are really important because it gives you a chance to really connect with one another. So anyway, so that's on the books as well. We'll have more details as Andrew sort of gets more details for us. Also, let's see, what's that say? We are actually also going to try to do more like to my point here, more non-meeting type events. So more star parties, more times to connect, get out with our telescopes, do all these sort of fun things is what we're going to try to do. Also, Andrea, our new vice president here, raise your hand, Andrea. She has already offered to set up a Christmas party for this year. We haven't done it the last couple of years because of the Riparian After Dark big event that happens over here in the park. But this year, she's trying to maybe set something up for like the first week of December before December gets really busy with all the family happenings and all that. So we have a chance to get together for Christmas as well. So Andrea's elected and offered to do that as well. And we appreciate Andrea for that. So anyway, so we have some nice things planned. That's what we have. All right, Alice, you're up. Alice is our events coordinator. She handles all our public outreach stuff. Alice has done a wonderful job. She was here with us last year, and she's back again this year. And so take it away, Alice.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone. All right. Oh, nice. All right. All right. So a lot of people ask, what is the benefit of being a member of our club? I always say one of the perks is being able to get involved with giving back to the community, sharing your love of astronomy with somebody else and maybe inspiring them. You never know. So we have 2 opportunities with which you can do that. The first one is literally just down the sidewalk over here, which is Greco, our Gilbert Observatory. You can volunteer there. The observatory is open Friday and Saturday nights from sundown until 9:30. You pick and choose the day that you want to do that. If you're interested in volunteering there, then contact Claude. He's our manager. There's his email up there on the display, and also for you guys on Zoom, you should be able to see that as well. And next, this is my portion right here. This is our outreach program. So we share our love of astronomy with schools, HOAs, libraries, community centers. What does that entail? It entails volunteering in two different ways. The first way is if you have a telescope or binoculars and you want to use that, you bring that to the event, have an object in mind that you want to share with people. And as the guests come up, you just show them that object, give them some information on it, and hopefully inspire them. Let's say that you don't feel comfortable bringing your telescope out. Then I can always use what we're calling walker helpers. And these are people who help me out by going out and reminding guests of telescope etiquette, like, hey, let's not use our flashlight on our phone to walk around to light things, or how about remind our younger guests, let's not run around the telescopes, that kind of thing. Also, we check in with our astronomers who have telescopes, check in with them every so often and ask them, hey, do you guys need a bathroom break? Are you doing okay? And then also, hey, if the line's really long, sometimes we can get some pretty long lines, you just educate and entertain the guests while they wait in line. Maybe point out constellations, maybe find out what the astronomer's looking at and give some facts that you know about that object. So there you go. That is what we do. It is so much fun. I enjoy it. If you're interested in doing that, you do need to sign up for the free lists outreach email. I communicate everything through this email. So cancellations, updates, rescheduling. I also usually send out at the end of the month a small email that tells you what's coming up for next month. So definitely you need to be signed up for that. All right, now we did 2 star parties in December. The first one was for the Chandler Gilbert Community College. It was nice. It was a smaller party. We had to reschedule, so it was towards finals, but we had an absolute blast. It was perfect weather, great time. Next, we did a high school. Again, another small party. I kind of like the small parties. We can kind of take our time, engage more with the guests. Had another fabulous time. And then recently, second Friday Star Party. You know what? I just want to say right now, thank you to all of our outreach volunteers. You guys rock. I forget, I think we had like 11 telescopes / binoculars at this one. Probably one of our biggest ones. Also, what was pretty cool too for our second Friday was Josh had one of his students who showed up and wanted to be part of it. So we had probably the youngest volunteer there, and he bragged about it at school the next day. Josh had told me that, hey, I got to be part of this star party. We did Smith Junior High School as well. Another blast. It was really, really busy. Of course, we like to have our fun and do silly pictures now. But again, lovely time. And we just finished last night Boulder Creek. That was the first time we'd done a star party for this particular school. It was amazing. I would say we had probably about 200 guests coming through in about an hour's time. But again, great kids, great questions, thoroughly had an awesome time. And, oh, that's it? All right. So come on up here, Steve. I kind of want to publicly acknowledge Steve tonight. Last month, December, we had the Riparian After Dark at Greco. And for those of us who volunteer there, Claude usually assigns us days. It's a 11-day in a row event. The observatory is open those full 11 days. Some of us volunteer, we're there for one night. Some of us volunteer for 2 nights, maybe 3 nights. Our lovely president was there for 10 of the 11 nights. whether he was scheduled there or he just wanted to show up to help out because he loves it so much. I also want you guys to know that he also is a regular for outreach for volunteering. He shows up at almost every single outreach. And on top of all that, he's taken on a 3rd year of being president. So, and a full-time job. So let's just give him a round of applause for that. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. She's a breath of fresh air. Love Alice. So anyway, all right, let's continue here. Let me get my thoughts back together after that. Was not expecting that. All right, game show time. Last November, we thought about doing this, but we simply ran out of time because we had an election to run and we had to vote on a few things as a club and whatnot. So we actually didn't have time for this, but you'll notice that all the seats pretty much have a mechanical pencil that we want back, by the way. And then a quick answer sheet. The answer sheet is between you and God. That's all it is. We won't see your answers, so no one's going to be embarrassed here. And essentially what it's going to be, as you can tell, you'll see there's 32 numbers there, A, B, C, D, after each one. It's basically going to be sort of a multiple choice thing about astronomy is what it's going to be. If you get a correct answer, there's a little blank right next to the D in that column, and you can just put an X there if you got it correct, or a C, or whatever you want to do, a checkbox, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And what we'll do is at the end, I'll just say, okay, did anybody get all 32 right? Did anybody get all 31 correct? Did anybody get 30 correct, or whatever else? It's honor system here, and we'll just kind of have some fun with it and go with it. So we've elected to call it Cosmic Conundrums. So there we go. So there it is, Cosmic Conundrums. All right, so what I'll do is I'll read each question. Like I said, there's 32 questions. After I finish reading, I'll give it about 10, 15 seconds for you to think about it, and then we'll move to the next question. Should take about 15, maybe 20 minutes or whatever, but about 15 minutes or so. And then we'll just tally and see who got what, and we'll do there. And just in case you know, there's movie candy involved in it. So anyway, so let's go ahead and start playing Cosmic Conundrums. First time we ever did this, and if you like it, we'll do it again maybe once or twice a year or so. Anyway, let's go for it and see what happens. So first question here. Question 1, what is the method, which is a method to detect the exoplanets? Is it radar? Is it parallax? Is it transit? Or is it variable stars? So clock is running. Should I do the Jeopardy music? No, I'm not going to do that. That would be annoying. So anyway, all right. So there we go. I'll give everybody a few minutes to record their answers, and we'll see where we're at. We'll do a game show side. Okay, has everybody got their answers locked in? No, I'm kidding. So anyway, all right. And there's a couple in here. Is Nathan Esky here tonight? I didn't see Nathan. Okay, Alice is here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to question 2 here. The answer is C. So if you got it correct, go ahead and mark it correct if you got that one correct. So question 2, which type of star will remain a main sequence star the longest? Is it a G star, an A star, an M star, or an O star? So give you a chance to think about that, and then we'll move on. And the answer is going to be C. It's an M star. So anyway, all right, next one up, question 3. Who developed the law of universal gravitation? Is it Wien, Newton, Kepler, or Einstein? Everybody ready to move on? Everybody had a chance to think it through? I think so. The answer is, survey says, B. There we go. Maybe I should bring Alice back up here. She can. If someone chooses a vowel or something, she can touch the screen and do the vowels or whatever. So anyway, all right. Question 4. What is the name of the well-known deep space object that is 2 interacting spiral galaxies spinning side by side? Is that the Sombrero Galaxy, the Whirlpool Galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy, or the Cartwheel Galaxy? Take a few seconds to think that one through. Anybody doing astrophotography better know this one, because I'm sure you've all photographed it. And the answer is B, the Whirlpool Galaxy. All right, next one, question 5. Which type of telescope mount is best for astrophotography? Is it an equatorial mount, an alt-azimuth mount, a Dobsonian mount, or a camera mount? So, give you all a second to think it through. And the answer is, for those that don't know, it's going to be A, an equatorial mount. So mark it whether you got it correct or not. Okay, question 6. What is the magnification of a telescope with an OTA focal length of 500 millimeters and an eyepiece with a focal length of 10 millimeters? Is it 500 times? Is it 10 times? Is it 5,000 times or 50 times? I had to throw in at least one math question, right? So anyway, actually there's going to be 2 math questions actually in here. And the answer is, survey says, answer D. So there you go. All right, let's do number 7 then. Question 7. A telescope has a current magnification of 30 times. It is equipped with an eyepiece that has an apparent field of view of 60 degrees. What is the true field of view? Is it 60 degrees, a half a degree, 30 degrees, or 2 degrees? I'll give you a second to do the math in case you know how to do the math. And then we'll go, and the answer is answer D. So there you go. Okay. Oh, Yesenia's doing the fist pump back there. She's got it. Okay. So anyway, all right. Question 8. What is the name of the sun's layer where the hydrogen gas becomes opaque? Is it the photosphere, the corona, the chromosphere, or the convection zone? You got a chance to think that one through? All right, the answer is, here we go, A, it is the photosphere. Okay, question 9. How many moons does Pluto have? Does it have 0, 1, 3, or 5 moons? You all set here? It actually has, little tiny Pluto actually has 5 moons. So it's a little dwarf planet with a big attitude. That's what it is. So anyway, all right, question 10. Which solar system planet spins in reverse compared to the other planets? Is it Mercury? Is it Venus? Is it Saturn? Or is it Neptune? Anybody embarrassed yet? No, okay, anyway, okay. All right, it is actually B, it is Venus. So, and the reason it spins in reverse is because it's actually flipped completely over compared to the other planets. So in a sense, there's really no up, down in space really, but the North Pole, what we consider at the bottom and the South Pole's at the top. So it's flipped over, so it's spinning the other way. All right, let's go to question 11. Which solar system planet's tilt is so extreme that it appears as though the planet is rolling on its side as it orbits the sun? Is it Mercury, Venus, Neptune, or Uranus? Hear all the murmuring in here, so it's interesting. And the answer is going to be, it's D, Uranus. So there you go. Betty's happy. She got that one. So anyway, all right. Question 12. Who discovered the relationship between the period of a Cepheid star's brightness cycle to its absolute magnitude? Was it Leavitt, Cannon, Halley, or Hubble? By the way, we have a few professional astronomers in here, so hopefully they're doing well. All right, and the answer is going to be Henrietta Leavitt. Hey, okay. Oh, there's one in here. If you don't get Alice, you're going to lose your job this year. Okay, it's a gimme for you. There's one coming up. So, okay. All right. Well, you should. You have a picture of her. You show everybody. All right. All right. Question 13. Which solar system moon is covered with a layer of liquid water, which in turn is covered by a layer of ice? Is it Europa? Is it Io? Is it Ganymede? Or is it Callisto? And the answer is A, Europa. In fact, we've just recently, not too long ago, launched a Europa mission. So we're actually sending a satellite right there to kind of take a look at Europa, try to figure out maybe there's life under that layer of ice. Okay, question 14. What is the result of using two 10-foot diameter telescopes placed 1,000 feet apart versus using a single 1,000-foot diameter telescope? Would it have less resolution? Would it have a dimmer image? Would it have more chromatic aberration or less magnification? So think about that for a moment. And the answer is going to be B. It'd have a dimmer image. It's simply not collecting as much energy. That's what it is. All right, question 15. What is a quasar? Is it a supermassive black hole? Is it a stellar mass black hole? Is it a pulsar? Or is it a blue supergiant? They got a chance to think that one through? Okay, the answer is A. It's a supermassive black hole. That's typically the black hole that's in the center of a galaxy. And okay, question 16. So our sun will end its life as which type of star? Is it a black hole, a white dwarf, a neutron star, or a pulsar? What do you think? And the answer is B, a white dwarf. Okay, that was the first half. So now we're in the lightning round. No, I'm kidding. There's no lightning round. But anyway, okay. Now we're in double jeopardy or whatever that is. Super jeopardy, I forget. So anyway, all right, question 17. In which arm of the Milky Way galaxy is our solar system located? Is it in the Sagittarius arm, the Perseus arm, the Norma arm, or the Orion arm? So where are we at? We had a map and it said you are here. Where would it be? And the answer is going to be D, the Orion arm. Okay. All right, question 18. In astrophotography, which type of frame is used to remove the base level of sensor readout noise as it reads out the values of each pixel in the sensor? Is that going to be a flat frame, a dark frame, a bias frame, or a flat dark frame? And the answer is going to be the bias frame. That's what that's going to be. All right, question 19. What type of camera does the James Webb Telescope have that enables it to see further into space compared to the Hubble Space Telescope? Is it an optical camera, an X-ray camera, an infrared camera, or a gamma ray camera? Which is it? And what it has is infrared. So the further out in space it goes, the longer those wavelengths get stretched out. So you got to have an infrared camera to see them. All right, question 20. What is a parsec? Is it a unit of time? And this is non-Star Trekian, or non-Star Wars, by the way, non-Star Wars. What is a parsec? A unit of time, a unit of distance, a unit of weight, or a unit of speed? Which is it? And apparently whoever wrote the first Star Wars movie didn't know, so because they got it wrong, they chose a unit of speed, basically. It's actually a unit of distance is what that is. Okay, question 21. What type of light has a frequency that is higher than visible light? Is it X-ray, infrared, radio, or near infrared? Once again, the answer is going to be A, X-ray. Okay, question 22. Which mathematical formula describes the maximum mass that a white dwarf can have and remain at a stable size? Is it the Stepan-Boltzmann law? Is it the bolometric magnitude? Is it the Schwarzschild radius? I had to practice that about 10 times before I did that in public. So anyway, or the Chandrasekhar limit. Which is it? And the answer is going to be D, the Chandrasekhar limit. Question 23. Who is credited with first observing evidence for the expansion of the universe? At least among those four. So anyway, is it Galileo? Was it Newton? Was it Hubble? Or was it Rubin? So which one is it? And the answer is Edwin Hubble. Or the wind. No, anyway, okay. Question 24. Who rescued? This is the one for you, Alice. Your job's on the line. Your job's on the line here, Alice. So anyway, who rescued Cassiopeia from Cetus the sea monster? Was it Zeus? Was it, if you saw the movie, Hercules? Was it Perseus or Cepheus? So which one was it? Alice likes to regale the crowds with stories of ancient Greek legends and lore. So anyway, the answer is C, Perseus. All right. Okay, question 25. We're getting down to it here. Which is the largest of the Galilean moons? Is it Ganymede, Callisto, Io, or Europa? And the answer is A, Ganymede. Question 26. Which part of a comet points in a direction that is opposite from the sun? Is it the dust tail? Is it the ion tail? Is it the coma? Or is it the hydrogen envelope? All right, let's find out. It is the ion tail. Question 27. Let's see. Astrophysicists postulate the existence of dark matter because of its interaction with which fundamental force? Is it the electromagnetic force? Is it the strong nuclear force? Is it the weak nuclear force? Or is it gravity? And the answer is gravity. All right, question 28. When using astrophotography, when doing astrophotography, in which telescope position is field rotation the most noticeable? Is it near the azimuth? Is it near the east horizon? Is it near the west horizon? Or is that low declination angles? First of all, you don't want to be doing astrophotography at low declination angles. Anyway, the answer is going to be probably near the azimuth. Is what you're going to be doing here. All right, let's go to question 29. A solar transit can be seen only when a planet approaches which orbital position? Is it opposition, greatest elongation, inferior conjunction, or a superior conjunction? And the answer is going to be C, the inferior conjunction. That's essentially when the planet is between the Earth and the sun. That's what inferior conjunction is. So you can see basically this planet is superimposed as a black spot on the face of the sun. Actually, that's when I first found out about EVAC. I forget whether it was Mercury or Venus. One of them was transiting, and it was years ago, probably a decade ago. I was a member of the club, and I actually went to Greco myself and watched like one of them. Which one was it, Claude? Mercury? Okay, so he says Mercury. So anyway, so that was my first experience ever with Greco, was years and years ago when I first moved here to Arizona. All right, question 30. Which type of telescope can feature a corrector plate? Is it a catadioptric, a refractor, a reflector, or a radio telescope? I know this because I dropped mine and spent $1,000 to replace it. So anyway, it's a catadioptric is what it is. So anyway. All right, next one. Now, the next two are just fun. So we just passed the 50th anniversary of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So in honor of that, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? And it is European, not African. Pure guess on everybody's part, I know. So anyway, you got a 1 in 4 chance of knowing this one because you probably don't know off the top of your head. And the answer is going to be C, 20 miles per hour. So anyway, now for the the science fiction buffs among us. Too bad Nathan Eske's not here tonight. He would certainly get this because he wears this on his shirt, one of his t-shirts. Which starship was a mining vessel? Was it the Enterprise? Was it the Millennium Falcon? Was it the Jupiter 2? Or was it the Nostromo? Another one, if you either know or you don't. You're a science fiction buff or not. You should have brought Eric, your husband. He'd know this one maybe. So anyway. All right. It is actually the Nostromo. That was a ship from Alien is what that was with Sigourney Weaver is what that is. All right. So let's find out here. Winner chicken dinner. Who are our winners tonight? So anybody get all 32? I'm just embarrassed for you all. No, I'm kidding. So anyway, did anybody get 31 of the 30? How about 30? Good, I made it hard enough. I didn't want to be a total gimme here. I want a little competition. So anyway, how about 29? Anybody get 29? We got a 29. Okay, we got one at 29. All right. I should do this. 1 at 29, 1 at 20. Okay, I can't do it. I can't speak that fast. Anybody get 28? So 3 more. Anybody get 27? Anybody get 26? 26 right here. Okay, we'll end it there. So for those that won, come on up here. You can get your box of movie candy. I got a few choices here, so come on up. All right, one quick question. Should we do cosmic conundrums a couple times a year or not? That'd be a good thing? Okay, all right. We will do that. Second question of the night, straw poll, is there some interest in doing the Kit Peak bus trip in April? Okay, so that's good. So Andrew, you're on. So there you can start setting that up. All right, Andrea's going to come up and introduce our main speaker for tonight.
Can I just grab this? Hello, everyone. Good evening. In In case you haven't met me yet, my name is Andrea Mathias, and I'm your vice president this year. And part of my job as vice president is to line up our amazing speakers for our monthly meetings. But right now, I need EVAC members who are interested in doing member presentations. So if that is you, if you are interested in doing a member presentation, or if you have questions about it, will you please come see me, because I would love to chat with you about it. But right now it is my honor to introduce our guest for tonight. Kevin Schindler comes to us from Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, where he has served for 30 years and currently holds the position of historian and public information officer. Kevin is a cornerstone of the Flagstaff history and science communities. He is the author of 8 books and a regular contributor to the Arizona Daily Sun, where you may have read his bi-weekly astronomy column called View from Mars Hill. He also holds 2 very rare honors. He has both a fossil crab and an asteroid named after him. Living here in Arizona, many of us are familiar with the kitschy attractions and historic diners of Route 66. However, the Mother Road also boasts an extraordinary space heritage that often goes unnoticed. Tonight, Kevin will lead us on a virtual trip along this storied roadway to explore its connection to the stars. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Kevin Schindler.
Thanks, and thanks everybody for coming in tonight. Again, I'm Kevin Schindler, the historian and public information officer at Lowell Observatory. Who's been to Lowell Observatory? Who has not been but is aching to get there? Well, it's a pretty cool place. Last year we opened the new Astronomy Discovery Center, and it really is stunning. 3 stories, 40,000 square feet of coolness, and on the top is a planetarium of sorts. You sit in the seat, you look up, but instead of looking at stars projected on the ceiling, you look at the real dark skies of Flagstaff. This is the 25th anniversary of Flagstaff being named the world's first international dark sky city. So we're going to be doing a lot of celebration there. So it's great because you can be in downtown Flagstaff and look up at the sky and see the Milky Way. That's a community of 70,000 people, but there's all these lighting ordinances. So it's really a great place to go for viewing. And a lot of you I know go to the Grand Canyon Star Party, which is just a lot of fun. It's going to be modified some this year because of what happened at the North Rim, but the South Rim is still going to be doing its thing. And they might expand the South Rim experience, maybe even to like Devils or to the Watchtower. They're working on that right now. So come up to Northern Arizona and check that out. So last year, I can't remember, last year about mid-year, we were kind of starting to plan events for the next year and realized Route 66 was going to be 100 years old. And I'll point out, by the way, that my wife, Gretchen, sends her hellos. She was thinking about coming, but then she looked at my shirt and said, I'm not going to be seen with you. So I have to wear this in honor of Route 66. So there's so much great Route 66 lore. As we heard earlier, it's all this kitschy stuff. The world's tallest ketchup bottle. There's a big blue whale. There's all sorts of neat stuff. But I was starting to think about Route 66 and thinking, well, Lowell Observatory is on Route 66. That's kind of some neat astronomy. And then I was thinking, well, 66 starts in Chicago and ends in Santa Monica near LA. Holy cow, there's a lot of astronomy and space stuff in both those places. And then I started connecting the 8 states, and it turns out there's a lot of space stuff near Route 66 in almost every state, every one of those 8 states. So in honor of the centennial of Route 66, there's a lot of celebrations going on year-round. But I thought it'd be cool to kind of give this presentation about 66. In fact, we're thinking about putting a book together about this because nobody's really talked about space in Route 66 before. But there's There's science. Yep, I have to get going closer there. Yep, sorry. I'll try not to. So there's so much space stuff. There's, as we'll see, there's astronomical research. There's visitor facilities, birthplace of astronauts and astronomers. There's the best preserved impact crater, the site where Apollo astronauts trained. There's even UFO sightings along Route 66. So there's a wide range of stuff. And so I thought maybe I will hold it because I'm going to move around. Sure. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about 66 itself, and then we'll talk about some of the space stuff. And so Route 66 is one of the most storied roadways in America. It's got several nicknames: the Main Street of America, the Will Rogers Highway, because he was born along 66. It's got maybe an unfortunate nickname, the Bloody 66, because when it was first built, the roadway, there are a lot of sharp turns and narrow passageways, and so there are a lot of crashes along 66 in the day. My favorite nickname for 66 is the Mother Road, from John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath. And in fact, if you go up to Flagstaff, there's the Mother Road Brewing Company, named after Route 66. And I'll show you something they do with us at Lowell Observatory. Every year they make a special beer with a Pluto theme. And I'll show you that in a little bit. So I said there's a lot of connection between this storied road and astronomy. If we look at a map of the United States, and you can see the red line starts in Chicago, goes through 8 states. And those X's on there, at some point when I thought, oh, that's kind of cool, there's some astronomy stuff here. Every time I found some astronomy connection, I put an X down. And I finally stopped doing it because I thought I'm tired of doing this. And it turns out there's a lot. So these X's are just an example of what's along the way. So what I thought we'd do is take a little road trip along Route 66, stop in each state, and not talk about every single thing because we would be here for a day or so, but just to give a few highlights of some of the stuff along 66. So let's start in Illinois, and starting in Chicago, the start of Route 66. Anybody recognize this guy? George Ellery Hale. George Ellery Hale grew up in Chicago, and he went on to become one of the eminent astronomers and one of the founding fathers of astrophysics in the United States. He built some of the largest telescopes. What's this? Yerkes Observatory. This is the 40-inch telescope at Yerkes Observatory. This is the largest refracting telescope ever made and used. There was a 50-inch once built. It was never actually used. It was built for like a World's Fair thing. But this is, so this is Yerkes Observatory. You might recognize this guy right here, Albert Einstein. So that was during one of his visits. Somebody else that is very connected with Yerkes, he was a student at University of Chicago, and University of Chicago ran Yerkes Observatory up until just a couple of years ago when they sold it. But this guy is Edwin Hubble, who in 1914, he started being a student at Yerkes. That's when he started doing his research on what we know today as galaxies and measuring distances in space and such. And he got his PhD in 1917. So University of Chicago, we saw the name Chandrasekhar before, or Chandra. He was at Chicago, University of Chicago. There's a great heritage of science that was done there. There's the Adler Planetarium. So if you want to look at educational resources in astronomy, this is one of the best planetarium in not just the country, but the world. Anybody recognize this guy? His name is Ray Bradbury. And you might recognize his name from a lot of science fiction books. One that I'd like to pay attention to is the Martian Chronicles, because in the Martian Chronicles, he described these features, these linear channels as they were. They almost looked like canals. And I have to talk about these because I'm from Percival Lowell. I mean, I'm from Lowell Observatory, and our founder, Percival Lowell, is the one that really promoted this idea of intelligent life on Mars. He thought, well, he wasn't the first one to see these supposed linear features called canals, but he was the loudest one. And he gave a lot of presentations, he wrote books, and really popularized this idea of life in the universe. He wasn't the first, but he was the loudest. And in fact, today, if there's whenever there's a report of like water in the solar system or life in the universe, Percival Lowell's name is always with that story. It's amazing. Even though he was really wrong about a lot of specifics, he got us thinking about the possibility of life out there. And so Ray Bradbury incorporated that in some of his Mars books. So let's head down the road a little bit more. You see that X, Wilmington. Who's been to Wilmington, Illinois? In Wilmington, Illinois, did you visit the launching pad? The launching pad is a restaurant there that was there. And if you look to the left, notice that big guy standing there, that big green guy. If you drive along Route 66, there's a bunch of those statues. They were the muffler men. And there are these 20-foot tall statues. If you go to Flagstaff, you might recognize that this is a close-up of that one. And he's called the Gemini Man after the Gemini space missions. If you go to Flagstaff, you'll see Louis the Lumberjack at campus. It used to be outside of the Lumberjack Cafe, which was then Granny's Closet, which is now closed. It will probably be a parking garage in some time. But if you go to the stadium at NAU, there's Louis the Lumberjack. He was the first of these muffler men. But notice the resemblance, these fiberglass statues. And so there's some of the great quiche of Route 66 with this muffler man that's standing there and that restaurant. Let's go back to a little bit of science. If we go south a little bit, you see the X in the middle of nowhere. And it's because it's in the middle of nowhere because there's really not much there. There's a lot of wheat fields. I was just there about 2 months ago, and it hasn't changed much in the last 100 years, except there's now a miniature golf course there with a 9-hole miniature golf course, and it's got a space theme to it. Because that place is the hometown of somebody whose name you might recognize. If you look here, this little guy right here, he's about 7 years old. His name is Clyde Tombaugh. And Clyde Tombaugh, about 15 or 16 years after this picture was taken, would move to Flagstaff, Arizona, and discover Pluto. And so Clyde Tombaugh, there's a great connection between Route 66 and Pluto, because Tombaugh was born or grew up near Route 66. Some of the earliest pictures of Pluto, even before Pluto was actually discovered, people had taken pictures of it. They just didn't realize it. Some of those were taken in Chicago. Years later, Tombaugh discovered Pluto along Route 66 in Flagstaff. And then years later, there are scientists like Mike Brown in California at the other end of Route 66 that discovered what we know today as Eris. And Eris was kind of comparable in size to Pluto. And that discovery is what helped lead to Pluto getting reclassified or Pluto getting dumped, depending on how you look at it. So 20 years ago this year, not only it's the 100th anniversary of Route 66 being commissioned and the 20th anniversary of Pluto getting reclassified. This is where you're supposed to boo and hiss. Boo. By the way, who thinks Pluto's a planet? Who thinks Pluto's not a planet? The exit is right there. Find your way there. So let's head down the street a little bit more. Let's go to Missouri. And Missouri has a lot of astronomy. St. Louis, there's the factory where they made some of the Apollo spacecraft. But I want to look at a couple towns you may never heard of. One is called Marshfield, and that's where Edwin Hubble was born. Who's heard of Harlow Shapley? Harlow Shapley, he was one of the deans of American astronomy in the 20th century. Most of us have heard of Hubble. The Hubble Space Telescope is named in his honor. Shapley grew up just maybe 20 miles from Hubble. They didn't know each other. They both grew up in a small farm. They would both end up to be maybe the two of the top three astronomers in America in the 20th century. They would both eventually work at Mount Wilson. Shapley's the one that was involved in the great debate of 1920 about if these fuzzy blobs in space are island universes on their own, or they're all within our solar system. It was before we had a concept of what galaxies were. And so these guys grew up near each other, never knew each other until later in life. So if you're into astronomy history, that's like you have to go pay homage to those guys. Kansas, you see how much of Route 66 goes through Kansas? It's just a little bit. And there's really not much along there that's astronomy. However, if you look at the Kansas flag and this billboard, on the Kansas flag, ad astra per aspera, to the stars through difficulties. So that's my connection with Kansas along 66. Now, Clyde Tombaugh, he was born in Streator, Illinois, we saw before. He grew up in Burdett, Kansas, but that's a ways off of Route 66. So there's a little bit of Kansas. And I'm going to talk about something later also with the state flags that's kind of fun. So let's head down to Oklahoma. And there are several places in Oklahoma with some space history. A couple science centers. There's a great one in Tulsa. The one I want to mention is the Thomas Stafford Air and Space Museum. You might recognize Thomas Stafford. He was the Apollo 10 astronaut. He was the commander of the mission that flew to the moon, kind of the test, the practice flight before Apollo 11 landed. So they flew to the moon, they orbited, they got within a few miles, they did everything but actually land. So that's Tom Stafford's hometown. And there's this great science museum with aircraft and everything. I'm down in Texas, just a little bit down the way in Wheeler, Texas, another small town. That's the hometown of Alan Bean. And Alan Bean was another astronaut. If you look at the Apollo astronauts, so many of them came from small towns. Like John Glenn was from New Concord, Ohio, and Neil Armstrong, Wapakoneta, Ohio. Really big names. This one is Wheeler, Texas. And that's where Alan Bean was from. And years after he went to the moon, they built a historical museum there. And there's a wing that has Alan Bean stuff. So we've seen places that do science along Route 66, places that do education. We have birthplace of astronomers, of astronauts, people who have studied space, kind of a nice mix of different things. In New Mexico, there's something else that I kind of connected with space because it sort of went up in the air, I guess. At one point, Route 66, its path was changed through the years, but at one point, it kind of dipped up and went up to Santa Fe. Who's been to Santa Fe, first of all? Who's been to 109 East Palace? Some of you know what that is. I won't point out that it's mostly the more mature in the crowd that know where that is. 109 East Palace, if you go to the square or whatever it's called there, and there's a book by the name 109 East Palace, because in the 1940s, when they were developing the atomic bomb, they did that at Los Alamos, which is north of this. And so the scientists who came from around the world, they would first check in to this unassuming building and go to the office, and then they would take off and they wouldn't be seen again. And the locals kind of scratched their head about this. All these kind of odd people would show up and then they were gone. It's because this was the check-in place for the Manhattan Project and developing the bomb, and then they would go up to Los Alamos, and that was high security. So this isn't quite space, but those rockets were in the air, so that kind of counts. So this is really, if you ever get to Santa Fe, it's worth just seeing this little plaque, but there's so much important history that was done right there. So again, so much diversity of things, space-related things along 66. And then we get to Arizona. Arizona, if you want to look at the number of different types of space stuff along 66, Arizona's right up there. one of those places in Winslow. We were talking to Holbrook just a few minutes ago. Winslow is the best preserved impact crater on Earth, a meteor crater, which was created about 50,000 years ago by a rock about the size of a 747. And how many of you have been there? Again, this is a destination because it's so well preserved. So Meteor Crater is a site where all the astronauts who walked on the moon trained, because if you're going to go to a place that has these craters, you want to get to know craters as well as possible. This is the best preserved one on Earth. Let's study this to learn how impact craters are formed, how the rocks are overturned and such. So Apollo astronauts went there, but today's astronauts are also training there. The Artemis astronauts who are preparing to go to the moon, they're in Arizona. I'm not at the second, I don't think, but they're going to Meteor Crater and some of the volcanic fields around northern Arizona to train just like the Apollo astronauts did, so that they learned the geology, how to speak the language of geology. So Meteor Crater is an important place scientifically for understanding impact dynamics, like how impacts happen. A great place for training astronauts. It's an education center, and it also has a little bit of Hollywood. If you've seen Starman, a classic movie, you should. I actually have never watched the whole thing. I fast forwarded to the Meteor Crater part, but you know, some of you might like it. But anyways, they filmed the final scene at Meteor Crater. And if you go along 66, there's a lot of TV shows, the original Star Trek. There are several sci-fi movies that were filmed along the way, especially in California. So we've got science, we've got education, we've got Hollywood. Does anybody know this name, Harvey Ninnegar? Some of you might know his name. Harvey Ninnegar ran the American Meteorite Museum just next to Meteor Crater. If you drive up to Meteor Crater today, you get off the highway and there's a gas station on the right with the campground. And if you look over toward the east, you'll see this worn out building. It's actually fenced off. You can't even get close to it. This is what it looked like back in the day. It was a meteorite museum, and Ninnegar was one of the best known meteorite collectors. His collection is now at ASU, and you can see a lot of that. If you ever want to check it out, you can see it on display there. So Ninnegar had this great educational museum there. So if you go then west, we hit Flagstaff, Arizona. And Flagstaff, that's where I'm from, or I've been there for 30 years, so it's kind of like my hometown. But Flagstaff has a lot of stuff. It's the world's first international dark sky city. In fact, if we go back further in time, back in 1894, 18 years before Arizona was even a state, a guy named Percival Lowell wanted to set up an observatory. He realized he couldn't do it in his hometown of Boston because electric lighting was becoming commonplace. Shining lights at the sky was hard to see the stars and stuff. And so he sent an assistant out to Arizona. It was still Arizona territory. He went to Flagstaff and learned that Flagstaff's nickname was the Skylight City because of the brilliance of the stars. Well, Lowell thought Flagstaff was great, set the observatory up there. A half a decade later, or a little bit more, six decades later, Flagstaff was getting kind of light. There was electric lights, there was street lights and stuff. And so the observatory was bringing in a new telescope. It's called the Perkins telescope from Ohio. And they wanted to set up a little bit outside of town, found a nice dark spot, but then they realized on some nights there would be these searchlights that would flash across the sky. And so some of the astronomers talked to the leaders of the city and said, what can we do about this? We don't want to get rid of the light, but can we moderate when it's used? Do you need a searchlight on at 2 a.m.? And so the city leaders wrote an ordinance, and that was the world's first outdoor lighting ordinance here in Arizona in Flagstaff. That's why Arizona is such a leader in dark sky conservation. The first lighting ordinance was done here. The first dark sky city, also Flagstaff is in Arizona. The Dark Sky International who kind of monitors dark skies and promotes it. They're based in Tucson. In Fountain Hills, they're developing the Dark Sky Center, I think it's called, that will be, what's that? Dark Sky Discovery Center, and that's a dark sky community. And so Arizona is such a center for dark sky conservation. Besides the dark skies in Flagstaff, and because of that, we've got things like the discovery of Pluto. And in the lower left, Gene and Carolyn Shoemaker. Gene is the founder of astrogeology, which is kind of looking at bodies like the moon, not as astronomical objects that you look at through a telescope, but these are geologic bodies. You can study geology and collect rocks. He was kind of the father of that. And I love this story. Gene died in a car accident in 1997, but Carolyn lived for years, and she just passed away a few years ago. But while Gene was off doing field work all around the country, and he trained astronauts going to the moon, Carolyn raised the kids. And when she was about 50 years old, all the kids were out of the house, and she talked to Gene and said, "I'm kind of bored. I don't know what to do with my time." She had background in teaching, but didn't want to do that. And Gene said, "Why don't you help me with my research?" Because he was studying impact craters on Earth, and he was also looking for possible impactors, rocks that could impact Earth, comets and asteroids. And so he had a friend train her, and she becomes so proficient at it, she discovered more comets than anybody else in the world. She's since been bypassed by automated surveys and stuff, but that's somebody who didn't have formal training. She got into it, and she was passionate about it, and she discovered more comets than anybody, including Shoemaker-Levy 9, the comet that dramatically impacted Jupiter in the 1990s. The first time in recorded human history that we saw two celestial bodies impacting each other, and it was discovered by the guy who studies impact craters on Earth. So it was really pretty neat. So what an impact. Clyde Tombaugh on the lower right. In the upper middle, I was going to pipe up during the little quiz we had, as Edwin Hubble is given credit as the first person to detect the expanding universe. And his name is really rightfully associated with that. But the guy up in the middle is the first one to actually observe that the universe was expanding. Starting in 1912, he would use that telescope with an instrument on the end called a spectrograph. And with a spectrograph, you can attach to the telescope. The light comes through the telescope, through the spectrograph, and you get a spectrum, these lines of different elements. If you look at a star, you see what elements make up that light. It's kind of like every element has its own fingerprint. So you have a specific pattern of lines. This pattern is hydrogen, and this pattern of lines is helium. Well, Slipher, under the orders of his boss, Percival Lowell, he said, "Why don't you study these really fuzzy blobs out there?" Because Lowell thought there were protoplanets, protoplanetary systems, like young planets being formed. And Lowell wanted him to look at the spectra of those. And if the spectra of those fingerprints, match those of Jupiter and Saturn, that would prove the connection that those are young planets being formed. Well, Slipher found out that the pattern was all different. But what he did find was really amazing. He did exposures of 40 and 50 hours. And what that meant was, you can see him, he's looking through a guide, this little tube, he's looking through as a guide eyepiece. And so he would set the telescope and pointing at an object. He first looked at the Andromeda Nebula, it was called. So he's pointing there, he's looking through the eyepiece, and for all night, for 7, 8, 9 hours, as the telescope is slowly moving across the sky, he's looking through that guide the whole time. And eventually, as the telescope moves and the object gets too low in the sky, he closes the telescope. The next night, he pushes the telescope back east, opens it up when we can get it on the Andromeda Nebula, and continues the exposure. And he did that over several nights. And other astronomers around the world said, "What are you doing?" what a painful waste of time. And if you've ever tracked, even for 15 minutes, it can be mentally treacherous, but to do it for like that, nobody had done that. What he found, based on the Doppler shift, was that Andromeda was actually moving towards us. But then he studied other things like the Sombrero Galaxy and found that in general, these things were moving away from us. That was the first evidence that the universe is expanding, the first observational evidence. That was 1912. In 1914, Schleifer reported on these observations at a meeting of the American Astronomical Society. And there was a young student, Edwin Hubble, there. And Hubble thought that was pretty cool and went on to study these. Schleifer realized these things were moving really fast away from us. And nobody knew what to make of it, except it shows that the universe is much bigger than we ever thought. But Hubble's the one that used the observations of Schleifer, as well as Henrietta Leavitt's measurements, being able to measure the distance to these things using what so-called Cepheid variables. Hubble's the one that put it all together. And so he's rightfully remembered as kind of the father of understanding the expanding universe. But there are others, like so often, Henrietta Leavitt and Vesto Schleifer and others who made early observations. So Flagstaff is all this. We have great amateur astronomy community. I mentioned astronaut training, and I just love this because all the astronauts who walked on the moon trained in Flagstaff, including this guy. His name is Jack Schmidt, Harrison Schmidt. You might recognize him. He was a senator for New Mexico after he was an astronaut. He was working at the U.S. Geological Survey in Flagstaff when he was training the astronauts because he has a PhD in geology. And his boss said, "Why don't you apply to be an astronaut? Because you know the geology really well." He did apply. He was chosen to be an astronaut, and he was the only scientist to walk on the moon up until this point, at least. And he's still alive. He's one of 4 moonwalkers still alive. He just turned 90. A few months ago, you might have heard that NASA named their latest class of astronauts. One of those, his name is Loren Edgar. And Loren Edgar is a geologist who was working at the U.S. Geological Survey, who was helping to train the modern astronauts when her boss said, "You know this stuff really well. Why don't you apply to be an astronaut?" And she's a member of the newest class. So as early as next month, February 6th, Artemis 2 is scheduled to fly up to the moon. They're not going to land, they're going to orbit. But if all goes well, the next mission as early as next year is going to land on the moon. And our species will be walking on another world for the first time since 1972. And the astronauts that will be doing that have all trained here in Arizona. I don't think Lauren would be ready for that mission because she just got into the Corps, but I hope that one day she'll follow in the footsteps of Jack Schmidt and we'll have another Arizona geologist walking on the moon. So it's just an inspiring thing, I think. Again, the connection, the science that we have in Arizona is stunning, especially along Route 66. So I asked earlier if anybody had been here, the new Astronomy Discovery Center at Lowell. It really is a stunning place, and I invite you to come and visit it. Next month is the anniversary of Pluto getting discovered, February 18th, 1930. And for now 7 years, at Lowell Observatory, we've hosted the I Heart Pluto Festival. It's near Valentine's Day. How perfect is Pluto? It was discovered near Valentine's Day. It's got the big heart on it. And so we do this I Heart Pluto Festival. And every year, Mother Road Brewing Company makes a can of beer. The first one was Pluto Porter. And, you know, if you're familiar with beer, Pluto or Porter beer is often nitrogenated, has nitrogen. That's what we did because Pluto has nitrogen in its atmosphere. One of these, you see still air. This is Clyde Tombaugh at a 9-inch telescope that he built. And he built that in Burdett, Kansas, before he was at Lowell. And to build it, he dug a little storm cellar so that he could be underground and have really still air to do the final figuring of of his mirror, of that telescope. So that beer was called Still Air. Last year, Leonard Nimoy's son, Adam, was one of our keynote presenters, so we had Boldly Go for last year's beer. So I think next week or in 2 weeks, we're going to announce this year's beer, which has kind of a Route 66 theme. So, you know, we got science, we got education, we got beer, space-themed beer around 66, you know, Galaxy Diner. You can't beat that. But there's one more great thing in Arizona. I think it's kind of fun. Over in Kingman, like, has anybody done observing in Kingman? Have you set up a telescope? Somebody admits to it. That's great. Okay, yeah. Who admits that they've been to Kingman? No, Kingman has some, Kingman is a group, I really like Kingman. There's great history there. But one of the fun things, and we've covered so many science or space themed things, in 1953, there was a UFO crash in Kingman, Arizona. And in recent times, people have gone back to visit it to try to find out where the site was. There was a newspaper story back in 1953. There's even a book about it, 7 Days in May, the Kingman UFO story. And I tried ordering this, and it's a self-published book, as you might imagine, and I haven't been able to find the book yet. But UFOs in Kingman, who'd have thunk it? So we've got all this space stuff. So we've talked about space-related things along Route 66, but so much is in Arizona. So much so that Arizona is the only state that has an official state planet. I see some of you chuckling. How can Pluto be a state planet if it's not a planet? You know, here in Arizona, we're a little different. We see things differently. So a couple of years ago, the guy on the right, his name is Justin Wilmoth, and he's a state representative. And he had visited Lowell and loved the story of Pluto, and went back and was working with some of his staff and said, you know, I'd like to do something to celebrate Pluto. And they said, hey, we have state fossils and state plants and state birds. How about a state planet? Nobody's done that. So he wrote this legislation. I got to go down to the Capitol and testify on behalf of Pluto to be the state planet. And it was with some really good humored opposition. It was passed. So Pluto, while there's other states that recognize Pluto as a planet, Arizona is the only one that has an official state planet. So my thought is that here's our state planet that's got our state flag that has a lot of astronomy, the star, the rays of sun. I think we should change our flag to this. I'm starting a campaign to have this as our state flag. So Arizona's got a lot of great astronomy. Let's end in California, where Route 66 ends in Santa Monica. Remember, we started with George Ellery Hale. Okay. Pluto is so great, we want to talk about it again. So George Ellery Hale, after he founded the Yerkes Observatory, he went out to California and founded Mount Wilson Observatory. And for years, the telescope on the left was the largest telescope in the world, the 60-inch telescope. It was the largest until 1917, when he developed the 100-inch telescope, which was the largest telescope in the world. And that was later surpassed by the 200-inch at Palomar, which Hale had some to do also. So California, like Chicago, has so much astronomy. The work that Edwin Hubble did, he went to school at the start of Route 66. He did most of his work at the other end of Route 66 at Mount Wilson. And then if you end in Los Angeles area, Griffith Planetarium is one of the stunning education centers for astronomy. Who's been there? It's been years ago now that they developed their new exhibit hall, but you go downstairs and it really is fascinating to see that. And not just education, but science. Jet Propulsion Laboratory, where so many space missions have been developed, that's out there also. So from one end of Route 66 to the other, there's so much space stuff. And I want to wind down with this, because if you look at the state flag of every of the states, all of them have space elements to them. Some of them are kind of lame, like they all have stars, right? So that's kind of cheap. But like Illinois has the rising sun, and Oklahoma, you don't see anything, but this is to represent the color of the sky, the blue. Kansas has its motto and the stars, the Zia, the 4 cardinal directions. So every state flag has an astronomy theme to it. I want to go back to Pluto for a second. I mentioned that Pluto, we have our Pluto Festival next month. And the theme of it is Mother Road to Pluto, Mother Road to the Stars, because of all those connections between Pluto. Well, there's some other connections with Route 66 and Pluto that I want to end with. If we look at the span of Route 66 compared to Pluto, they're kind of in the same magnitude as we say. Route 66 spanned 2,400 miles. Pluto's not much less. Route 66 is wider than the diameter of Pluto. Route 66 was commissioned in 1926. Pluto was discovered in 1930. Route 66 was decommissioned in 1985. Pluto was dumped in 2006. But their present status, they're both still there, whatever you call it. So I'll end with that. This next year, especially if you go to Flagstaff or other places along Route 66, already we're seeing a lot of tourists coming from around the world, like Germany. Route 66 is a big thing for German tourists. They want to come here and drive along the Mother Road. So this whole year we're going to be celebrating Route 66. And I want to, as these people are coming to see the kitschy stuff and some of those old restaurants and hotels, I want to remind them of how much space is along Route 66 and what a great heritage there is. So with that, I thank you for coming in today. Thanks for not throwing anything at me. I have a few books that I've done. I'll have them over here if you want to support the Gasoline for Kevin Schindler Fund. We'll have those over there. So thanks for having me in, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
While they're looking for a question, we have one comment. You missed Goldstone Earth Station near Barstow.
Oh yes, and what I showed here is I tried to give a highlight of about each state, with a little more in California and Illinois and a bunch in Arizona, but there's so much more along there, and that's another good one. Yep. Any other questions or thoughts about Route 66, space? Yep.
Oh, wait. We need to have the Zoom people hear you, Keith.
I'm wondering how much of Route 66 is still really there. I mean, you can't really drive the.
Right. Yeah. A lot of Route 66 just isn't there anymore. The longest stretch of original Route 66 is in Arizona, but a lot of the patches are gone. But you can still follow the general course, like you can follow I-40, which follows the path of Route 66. If you get online, there are different paths you can take depending on what you want to see. But people do this. In fact, I want to do this, but I want to drive across the whole thing and stop at all these historic places. And there's entire books written about what you can see along the way, the highlights and everything. So it's kind of a cottage industry of retracing the original Route 66. You're not on the original part the whole time, but you can still follow its basic path. Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for one more question.
Have you ever been to Hutchinson and seen the Cosmosphere?
No, the question was if I've been to Hutchinson and the Kansas Cosmosphere is there. I haven't been there. When I was in Burdett a couple months ago, I flew into Dodge City. And then from Dodge City, I was hoping to rent a car to go to Hutchinson, but the rental car places were closed on the weekend. And then on Monday, it was open for an hour, like from 2:30 to 3:30 when the flight comes in. And I wasn't there then, so I wasn't able to go. But Hutchinson is one of the places for astronomy and aerospace, like a museum. They have.
Yeah, I
everything.
used to live there. Actually, I was born there. But they, as I was told, I think it was the granddaughter of Hubble married one of the Carey Salt people, and that's how that got started. And I think it's the Apollo 13 stuff is there, and a moon rock, and it's a fascinating museum. It really, really is.
And that's what there's, there are the Mercury, the Gemini, and the Apollo missions, crewed missions. They have at least one of each of those spacecraft there, including Apollo 13. At one point, I think they got Apollo 13 capsule kind of by default because nobody really wanted it because of what happened in the fire and everything. Now I think there would be a lot of places that would kill to have it after the Apollo 13 movie, especially. The capsule they created for the movie used to be at Universal Studios in California. I don't know where it is now.
Well, Hutchinson's is kind of a weird place, but they also have I think the only underground salt museum in the Western Hemisphere. And that's fascinating as well. So if you ever get there, there's several things to check out.
And it's not very far. It's not along the railroad, right? But it's close.
It's about 40 minutes from Wichita.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So not too far away.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to get there.
I think that should be the next field trip for the group after Kit
It
Peak.
should be.
Maybe next year. Yeah.
And they have a new hotel there.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I'll end with this since we have a couple of youngsters in the audience. I'll end with a really bad astronomy joke. Have you heard about the restaurant on the moon? The place has no atmosphere, but the food is out of this world. Thanks for having me in.
Right, everybody. Thank you, Kevin, very much for all that. Let me just get to the end of all of this, and we are done.